Hello. On this episode of Sustainable Life, grass-fed farming, teaching sustainability in the classroom, and organically grown garlic.
Today we're at the Miller Farm in Kinsman, Ohio, learning how we can be respectful to animals and raise them sustainably.
Our concept is that we're trying to raise our cattle as close to nature as possible.
Well, we're a grass-based farm, so all of our livestock is raised right on grass, on pasture, and the pastures don't have any chemical fertilizers, any pesticides, any herbicides applied. So our livestock is raised as naturally as possible.
The chickens come along and they clean up behind the cows and peck through the manure piles, spread them around, and so you get a lot of benefit from that. The chickens get a lot of benefit, plus the chickens are outside there all day long. They're picking up bugs. Right now the grasshoppers are real thick, and they really enjoy grasshoppers, and it really reflects in the eggs, the taste of the eggs. And then we bring sheep along behind that, and the parasites that live with sheep and the parasites that live with cattle are two completely opposite parasites. So it breaks the parasite cycle, and we don't have to use chemical wormers or any time of chemicals like that to keep our cattle, our sheep, and our chickens healthy. Well, when we brought these 400 hens home from it was really a factory farm. One morning I was cracking eggs because we give the cracked eggs to the cats, and they line up in the morning and they really enjoy them. Well, I was cracking some eggs they're called pullet eggs. They're real small in the beginning, and I was cracking them, and I noticed the cat wouldn't eat them. And I said, "What the heck's going on here? Aren't you hungry?" And then I cracked about 6 of these eggs, and then I cracked some from our hens that are on this farm, and they just dove right into them, started eating them. So so about the third morning, I really started playing with them that which egg they could tell the difference between the eggs. If a cat can tell the difference between the eggs, think about the nutritional value that you get compared to a chicken that's raised inside all the time. I guess our concept is really to try to be as close to nature as possible. I guess the prime example of that is there's millions of buffalo on the plains for years and years, and they're always followed by poultry and other animals. My dad farmed for years and years, and he was also a construction worker, and we had cattle. Actually, he put me through school by raising cattle.
Beef was raised on grass until after World War II, when feeding beef corn became the way to fatten them up more quickly and to use up this vast store of corn that the government had. So that's how we kind of got into the routine of being corn-fed, and that hasn't really proved to be very healthy for us as a nation.
Well, grass-fed beef compared to conventional beef is about 3 times higher in omega-3, which is a fatty acid that actually promotes the health of your heart and your veins, your arteries, and also it's higher in CLA, which is a cancer-fighting amino acid, and vitamin E, and the beta-carotene, which are all good for your body.
Talking about nutrition, tell me a little bit about the differences between conventional raising of beef and the way you do it.
Well, conventionally, they're raised in a feedlot, grouped all together, fed the same ration every day. Not that they're not getting a nutritional diet, but they're getting no variety, and they're not living out here in the grass and breathing fresh air. So their life is just not as good as a cattle raised out here. Yes, they get done in 13, 14 months old, and they're ready to be finished, but there's a great difference in taste of one that's raised for 18 months or 24 months. They have more beef flavor to them, and their livers aren't damaged. There's just a lot of health aspects that go along with raising a cattle slower and not being crowded together.
If we're going to eat meat, then we're going to be respectful of the animal that gives its life so that we can eat. So we respect them from the time they're born until the time that they're butchered. And we use the whole animal. We don't say, I only eat steak or I only eat chicken breasts. We respect the whole animal that gave its life so that we could be nourished.
People are amazed at what they taste like. Lots of older people, they say that, oh, this tastes like chickens my grandmother used to raise, or this tastes like beef my grandmother used to raise. And I think it's really sad that there's a whole generation, maybe 2 generations in there that never really tasted meat that tastes like this.
The greatest privilege about a family farm is that it teaches our children what it means to be entrepreneurial, that you can make a living by producing something. You don't need to rely on someone else for your living. We have the great opportunity to spend a lot of time together, whether that be working or playing. We have the freedom to adjust our day so that maybe midday, if there's a school activity, Erin gets to participate. So it's really a blessing and a privilege to be able to work as a family toward a goal that really all of us believe in.
I'm going to let you down, folks, because I hate to say it, I don't have much to question about what I saw. I mean, what I really like is that the animals were happy. They looked happy. They were comfortable. The farm was beautiful. The people were wonderful. I think that their ideas were dead on. Now, a person who wanted to question what was going on would say, is that particular type of farming going to be viable for the quantity of beef we need for the whole nation? Right. I do not know the answer to that. Yeah. I do not know the answer. I haven't seen statistics on fat content of beef. I believe that what he said sounds like it would be plausible, but I haven't heard the other side of it. But again, what I like is, we all as living beings, we have a beginning, we have an end, but what happens in between counts for the animals and for people. That's the best I can do on the con side. What do you have to say?
Well, and I'm going to say the same thing. What it is it's really a really good example of old-fashioned farming. This isn't high-profit processing of animals in a torturous environment. You saw it. You cannot argue with animals frolicking around like that. I've never seen, personally, I know I've grown up mostly in the suburbs, but I've never seen cattle just jumping around for joy because they got led into another new pasture today. It was just a beautiful thing to see, and I think it is a sustainable model, but we need enough people to say, yeah, I want to be a farmer. And if every little community had a guy like that, it is sustainable. But
there is one thing I think we do have to question, which is that food that they're growing, those animals are higher cost.
Oh, yeah, you're probably right.
And not every American consumer is in a position to be able to buy it, and some may choose not to buy it. So I think that it's a wonderful alternative, but it may not be the choice for everyone.
Well, that's a very good point, but what I will tell you is I know those eggs tasted good. They were delicious. And so there is definitely a difference when you're getting something from a farm in an environment like that as opposed to a big processing farm. It was a joy to meet them and actually see all of that in operation.
Yeah. Great operation. It was a fun visit for both of us. Cool.
Penny Orr feels it's important to teach sustainability, and we are here at Hawkins School to find out why.
Well, I grew up at a time when people lived more sustainably, even people who weren't farmers. I grew up next to an entirely sustainable operation. It was a dairy farm where they raised chickens and guinea fowl and all their truck food. We used to help with the baling of the hay. They had farm horses and old tractors, and it was great. We did a modified version in my family because my father worked at a company. My mother taught school for a while. But we did have a huge vegetable garden, and in the spring we bought